Namaskar. Today I would like to talk about happiness. Happiness is something complex. It is not just physical. It is also psychological, and it is also spiritual. And apart from being complex, happiness is also internal. I think we have heard this idea that happiness comes from within. But we don't take it seriously. We believe that actually happiness is created by the environment. If I have all the necessary resources, I will be easily happy. I will become happy. For example, if I have enough money, then surely I will be happy because I will find things to do. I will go travel the world, and I'm going to be very happy. So that is the notion, and that's why there is this race for money, fame and name, because people believe actually it is not race for money, it is race for happiness. We pursue happiness, but in a very ignorant way. Ignorant means I want something and I think I will get it this way. So I spent maybe 8 years, 10 years of my life pursuing something, but when I arrived to my goal, I find out that actually I achieved that what I was pursuing, but I have not achieved what I wanted to achieve because I didn't know what I want. And truly, actually, we only want happiness. That is our goal. That is our dharma. That is our purpose in life, to strive for happiness. Many years, like maybe 300 years ago, if you consider the environment, the situation, the physical conditions which were, for example, in Europe, and if you compare it to today's conditions, you'll find out that actually we all today live like kings. Actually, the kings of the past, they used to endure much more hardship. They didn't have washing machine. They didn't have fridge. They didn't have telephone. Nothing of that. And then they didn't have proper medicine. It's like they were dying like flies. And either you are a peasant or you are a king. You give birth to children. They all die. Maybe 20% will survive. But do you think they were less happy than we are? Or we are more happy than they are? I don't think so. Because happiness is not only environment. Happiness is your inner tuning. Body, human body, is a biological machine. And it depends on the tuning of that machine, whether we feel sadness or happiness. If this machine is tuned to secrete the hormones of happiness, then you will be happy in any environment, in any circumstances. So our body can either become a vehicle of joy, or it can become a vehicle of sorrow. Many times people just say, oh, I'm suffering so much, I don't understand. What's wrong with me? And that is because the body machine is not tuned properly. It comes out of tune because we go against the laws of balance. We are eating improper food. We are not properly resting. We are not properly exercising. And we are not properly cleansing our body. So you can bring your body into the tune again by yogic exercises, for example. The asanas. Asanas, they balance the hormonal secretions in us, and then you just feel differently. You feel differently. Another portion, so the physical portion of us is very important. And it is, you have to understand that it is within your control. The amount of money is within my control, maybe, maybe not. Something of external world I control to some extent, but not much. Actually, my area of control, my area of influence is not so large. But what pertains to you, those things you can control quite a lot. So you may or may not be able to change your environment, but you will be able to change your body chemistry. That's why that is called, the happiness is called internal phenomena. Because it's within you, within your reach. You can change it. Today you are unhappy. Tomorrow you are going to be happy. Tomorrow you are going to be happy. And then you will be thinking, why did I spend my life in darkness? Why did I have to be so unhappy? When I start meditating, and I was really a depressive teenager. I was always like, my face was... Some of my friends, one time I initiated one guy. He was young, I think 18 years old. And then I have taught him meditation. When he came to learn meditation, I thought that this is like a serial killer face. He's so like this. But now we are good friends, and he's such a jolly fellow. There was a huge transformation of his personality. So you might wonder, why have I lived my life in darkness? I didn't have to. You just need to change your body chemistry. If you want to change, you go. There is Didi Ananda Sanjana on this channel, and she is doing asanas. So you do the yoga classes with her, and you will feel the change. Little by little, the body changes to the more positive state. And then there is mind. Body is just like a machine. Deha yantra, jantra. Have you heard the word jantra? Yantra? Normally, yantra is like a graphic symbol. But yantra means a machine. So body is the machine. So this Deha yantra has to be tuned by proper discipline, by proper your dinachar, by proper schedule of the day, like what time you wake up, what time you go to sleep, by drinking water, by eating proper food, by resting properly, by exercising properly, by cleansing the body. You can tune this structure, and it will be transformed into a vehicle of joy. Then there is a Manasa yantra. Manasa yantra is a mental yantra, mental machine. The body is also like a machine, and the body, the mind is also like the body. If this yantra tuned properly, it produces energy, it produces the thinking capacity, it produces the hormones, it produces the ability, the basis, the physical basis for feelings. Without the body properly tuned, how you can feel love? How you can feel that inspiration? There has to be physical basis for that. So the body is like a machine producing that basis for the mental activity. And then the mind. The mind is also a mental basis for spiritual realization. How to tune the mind? How to make the mind a vehicle of wisdom? How to make the mind a vehicle of realization, of spirituality? For that, there is this Manasa yantra. Manasa yantra, the mental yantra, the mental structure, has to be cleansed from the defective thinking, defective ideas. And how you do that? By learning and practicing the principles of what? Of yama and niyama. Yama are the principles regulating relation of the mind with the physical reality, with the external world. And to practice those principles, you should remain in society. For example, there is one principle, one portion of that machine, not inflicting harm on others by thoughts, words, and actions. To practice that principle, you have to be in society. If there is nobody whom you can inflict harm, then how you are going to abstain from inflicting harm? So those principles, they work. You can practice them while you are remaining in the society. And many people say, oh, today is very hard to practice them. It was always hard to practice, and it will be always hard to practice those principles. And there is no end of how fine the tuning can be with those principles, how deeply we can go with those principles. So there is one, you can symbolically imagine like a triangles. There is one triangle, and that is yama sadhana, or yama means control, and yama sadhana is the exercising controlled behavior, regulating the relationship of the mind with the external world, making your relationship with the external world sweet, harmonious, loving. And then there is niyama sadhana, and that is the relations of the mind with pragya, or with the supreme wisdom, with Paramapurusha, with the cosmic entity. There are also 5 principles. So then they also symbolized in the form of triangle, but the triangle goes like this. So 2 triangles, one is like this, another one is superimposed on the first one, and it creates the jantra, the manasa jantra. And then once you have that, once you have created and you have tuned very, very finely that mind machine, that mind machine starts to produce realization. It starts to produce understanding, the wisdom. I compare it like some people ask, they say, Dada, I'm doing everything properly, I'm doing meditation, but nothing works, looks like. It is not possible. Meditation always works. But sometimes meditation it can be more efficient, because meditation is like a factory. But factory needs coal and other raw materials, energy, fuel, steel, whatever, raw materials, and then it produces the computers, the cars. So the mind, the main product of the mind is the realization. But the mind has to be balanced. To transform that mental energy into spiritual energy, there has to be balance in the mind. And that is done by yama niyama. So yama niyama is like supplying the raw materials, and meditation is processing those raw materials and making something out of it. So without following yama niyama, without trying to develop those principles, the meditation loses its efficiency. The factory works, but there is nothing to manufacture. There is nothing to process. So there is very little outcome. So on the mental level, happiness comes when this manasa yantra is created. Happiness comes when you establish a proper balance, when you remove toxic ideas from the mind. You remove the toxic patterns of behavior from the mind. For example, just imagine if you reject harming other people. I'm not going to harm anybody. I'm not going to harm anybody by thoughts, words, or actions. And if you have really come to that realization, if you have really come to that understanding and that desire, I don't want to harm anybody. Can you imagine how light and happy your life becomes? Or if you reject when you speak, you want to speak always inspiring, and do not lie, do not speak untruth, and don't have to maintain your falsehood and make spend so much efforts to maintain that. If you just reject that falsehood, imagine how light the mind becomes, how much energy is getting liberated from that. So those principles, they're very hard to follow. But if you think of them, if you meditate on them, you try to implement them in your life, then slowly, one lady told me this. She said, Dada, I was in one city and I was giving lectures. And actually it happens that I actually never came to talk about meditation. There was not enough time. I was talking about these basic principles of regulating the activity of the mind, the behavioral things. And then she was listening, she was writing, and she called me. She said, Dada, I don't know how this magic works. I was in a very bad relationship with my mother, very bad relationship with my colleagues. And now I just started to think how to speak positively and how to not harm others, how not to take revenge on others. I just started to think that maybe I would like to do like that. And Dada, you will not believe. We made peace with my mother. We start to talk with my colleagues in my work, and just everything healed. And I didn't do anything even. I didn't decide anything even. I only thought that maybe I should change my patterns of thinking, speaking, and behavior. Can you imagine how powerful those principles are? And then finally, so in my opinion, the next level of happiness comes from the establishment in the principles of yama and niyama. I have made big playlist of this. It's called the principles of harmonious life. And then there is another one, the last one, spiritual. Spiritual is really the strawberry on the cake. It's the pinnacle psychology. It is the final tip point of your existence. And that happiness comes when you realize your unity. I am one with the infinite supreme consciousness. Therefore, my happiness is infinite. So that sort of happiness we are trying to achieve in our everyday meditation. We are trying to saturate our life with that effort of unification. What is yoga? Sam yoga yoga ityukta jivatma paramatmana. The unification of individual soul, unit soul, with the cosmic soul is yoga. So when my life is saturated with that effort, when my life is saturated with bhakti, or divine love. And what is love? Love is an effort to be one. That is what love is. So I am trying to be one with Supreme. That very process gives me so much happiness. That bhakti, that divine love, that very effort. I have not even come to embrace the Supreme, but I am trying. I am making different schemes how I am going to do that. I am imagining, when you are dating, I will bring the flowers, and so you are imagining how I am going to do, how I am going to approach the Supreme, and how I am going to embrace the Supreme. Even that effort, you have not arrived to the goal, but you are making an effort, and it makes you immensely happy. So again, to summarize, happiness is a complex phenomenon. It comes, the roots are in the physical world, your body structure, properly tuned body structure. Make the biological machine into a vehicle of joy. Secondly, tune the mind. Take out, weed out all the defective ideas, all the defective patterns of behavior. Remove, liberate the energy of the mind. Discover how much energy is there. Liberate that energy. Let inspiration flows. Let the noble and high emotions flow. Let the courage flow. Let the kindness flow. Let the feeling of triumph flows. Let the feeling of confidence flows. And then meditate. And it is purely internal. Purely internal, it means somehow 300 years in Europe, our ancestors, they were okay. They were managing to feel happy. And now we live like kings. But still we manage to be unhappy. So our environment is good enough for us to be happy. But we are not happy. And due to our unhappiness, when I am unhappy, I destroy the world. I will make others unhappy. I will share. That's our nature, to share things. If I'm happy, I will share the happiness. If I'm unhappy, I'm going to share unhappiness. Be sure of that. So everybody shares unhappiness. So what do we expect? So at least, I don't know about everybody, but at least me, I will be sharing happiness. And that happiness is within my grasp. This is the point. It is not something out of reach. It is within my reach. So I can have it and I can share it. So thank you very much. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Let us have some discussion about it. And I deeply appreciate. It makes me very happy, in spite of all what is said, when you share the videos, and those videos make other people happier. So let us think, not only for our happiness, but for happiness of everyone. And that is also important ingredient. When you think for the happiness of others, it is a part actually of that tuning, fine-tuning of this body-mind machine, body-mind spirit wonderful machine. So yeah, I wish you the best of happiness, really the pinnacle of happiness, to realize the greatest happiness possible for the humans. Namaskar.